I reached out to all of my YouTube subscribers, Facebook and Instagram followers, wanting to know what burning questions you had for me. And boy, did you ask. You asked all about my furniture flipping business, how I make money with that on social media, and just some stuff that you want to know about furniture refinishing or furniture flipping in general. So today I'm sitting down to give you all the answers. Hello, my furniture friends. Katie here from Salvaged by K. Scott. It's going to be a different kind of a video today. No furniture flip. I think it's been about 2 years since the last time I did one of these Q&A style videos, and I've had a bunch of you reach out to me lately asking for an updated version. So here we are. I've tried to organize everything into categories, although a lot of the subject matter is going to overlap anyway. But hopefully if you're looking for something specific, the chapters in this video will make it a little bit easier to navigate. But let's jump in and get started. I think the best place to do that is probably at the beginning. I got a lot of overlapping questions like what first got you into refinishing, what inspired you to start refinishing, how did you get started, how long have you been doing this, and what made you decide on furniture. So I've been refinishing furniture as my full-time job for the last 6 years now, and about the last 4 of those have been here on YouTube. And my business of flipping furniture started really organically. I had been a stay-at-home mom with 2 little boys, and my husband and I found a really incredible real estate deal that we just couldn't pass up. So we ended up moving our little family from a 800 or 900 square foot bungalow a few blocks away to an incredible 2,800 square foot home. But after doing that and pouring all of our money into purchasing this new house, I didn't have anything to furnish it with. And going from 900 square feet to 2,800 square feet, the place was barren. So I took to our local thrift stores looking for things that looked like or would act like the furniture that I wanted to buy from the traditional big box furniture retailers. And then I turned to YouTube to figure out how to make those pieces that I'd found at a bargain look like the stuff that I wanted to buy from the store. The first 2 things that I refinished were a china cabinet and a buffet that I turned into an entertainment unit for us. And I was immediately hooked. Just the act of being creative and having a way to take something that was unwanted and worn out and turn it into something pretty high-end looking was just addictive to me. So I kept doing it. I kept going to the thrift stores as kind of a way to kill time, finding those good deals and then having fun in the basement, making them over. And then I would just sell them on Facebook Marketplace to see if I could make a few bucks. I think I did that for about 2 months before I figured out that I could make an actual business out of it. The next question is, how did you learn to do all the stuff that you do? And the answer is, I've learned it all just by doing it. I don't have any background in design, although it's been something that I've had a little bit of interest in my whole life. I had some basic knowledge of tools from working with my dad out in the shop as a kid, but I didn't really know how to do anything. I still feel like I don't know how to do a lot. I just kind of dive in and start doing it and make mistakes, make lots of mistakes, and then figure out how to fix those mistakes. And that's how I've learned how to do everything that you see me do on my channel. I spend a lot of time, have spent, and still spend a lot of time here on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, watching other people in the DIY space, always picking up tips and tricks from my peers. And I think that's the best way to learn, especially for those of us who have creative brains, is just to start doing it and figure it out as you go. What do you find the most challenging in your projects? You make everything look easy. Well, thank you. I think a lot of that is the power of editing. Like I said, I make a lot of mistakes, and as much as I try and show some of those mistakes, you guys are getting a 10 or 15-minute video, or in short form content, as little as 30 to 60 seconds of a week-long project. So you're not seeing all of the awkward positions and all of the mistakes and all of the teeny tiny little things that I'm constantly fixing and adjusting. So it's not all easy. It's not rocket science. Refinishing furniture isn't rocket science, but it's not easy either. Have you ever walked away from a piece and regretted it? I have walked away from quite a few pieces in the thrift stores or at garage sales that I didn't have that immediate idea of, I'm going to do this and that's going to be awesome, which is usually what draws me into picking the pieces that I do. And then I've gotten home and thought about it for a little while or a few days and gotten that spark of inspiration and regretted not picking it up because it's almost never there when you go back to get it later on. So that has happened. I've never walked away from a piece that I've had, that I've started working on and regretted it. Usually by the time I've made up my mind that I'm done and I can't save it, I'm over it. It needs to get out of my space, get out of my mind. I've got to move on to the next thing. I don't have time for that. Okay, moving on to some more kind of product recommendations. What is your favorite paint? I can't say that I have a favorite paint. There are so many products out there now that all do different things and at the same time all do the same thing. At the end of the day, when you really break it down, paint is paint. It's a layer of color that's going to change the look of things. I'd say when I started, it was kind of the peak of the chalk paint era. So that's what I learned with. That was the paint that I was most comfortable with for a long time. I knew how to make it do what I wanted it to do and how to fix it when things went wrong. Chalk paint is really easy to sand if you've got drips or brush strokes. But I'd say now I'm moving more towards the all-in-one style furniture paints, and even now into the kind of big box store cabinet paint lines like Behr's Alkyd Enamel, Sherwin-Williams Emerald Trim Enamel. Benmore's got a couple of good cabinet coat paints that are really durable, hard finishes that can take the abuse that furniture takes and don't require any additional top coating, things like that. So I do have some favorite paints and I'll try and list them off for you. Along the chalk mineral line, you can't go wrong with the OG chalk paint, Annie Sloan. She's got an incredible lineup of products that are tried and trusted and beloved globally. Dixie Belle makes a great chalk mineral line, and also their silk line is a great all-in-one paint that I've tried. I am an influencer and brand affiliate for Fusion Mineral Paint, which is a matte finish acrylic resin paint that I love. I speak for their company all the time. I absolutely love that paint. And then along the lines of stuff that you can get at any paint store, I would say at Home Depot, I would go for Behr's Alkyd Enamel paint, Sherwin-Williams Emerald Trim Enamel, Benmore's Advance is a really nice paint to work with, but I can't get over the recoat time of 16 hours. They also have another line called Cabinet Coat that I haven't tried yet, but I'm really interested in trying, that I think is pretty similar to the Sherwin-Williams Emerald Enamel. Those are my top paint choices. I'm sure I'm missing some. I'm sure I'm missing lots. There are so many choices. My best advice would be to figure out what's available near you and try it. If you don't like it, don't buy it again. Try something else. What is your favorite furniture stripper? My favorite paint and varnish stripper is hands down, bar none, circa 1850, which I believe is only available in Canada. It's really nasty, toxic, harsh stuff though, but it gets the job done. I think something similar that you could get for all of my US followers would be Quick Strip or Clean Strip at Home Depot. I believe there's a 15-minute and a 30-minute formula. I've not tried Citrus Strip because it's not readily available here in Canada where I am, but I've seen a lot of not so great reviews of it. I'd say if you want to go more of an eco-friendly route, I would look for Smart Strip by Dumond. I've had some pretty good luck with that. And QCS is another one that I did get my hands on, and I've tried on a few different finishes. It hasn't worked the best for me, but I know a lot of my peers have had really good success with it, and it's completely eco-friendly, non-toxic, really easy to use and clean up without all of the hazardous chemical stuff. So those are my stripper recommendations. What do you find is the difference between an Orbital surf prep and a regular Orbital sander? So I only got my surf prep 5-inch Orbital sander, I don't even think it's been a year yet, and I absolutely love it. Surf prep sanders are professional grade sanders that come with a professional grade price tag. They are expensive. There's no way around that. But they are a pro grade tool. So I'd say the biggest difference between the surf prep sander and a hardware store Orbital sander is the vibration. I find that my surf prep sanders, both of them, I have a 3x4 rectangular sander and the round 5-inch round sander. The vibration is much less. There's still a lot of vibration with any mechanical sander, but the surf preps are less. I love the vacuum compatibility with them for dust collection. And the surf preps also have variable speeds, so you can control the speed of the orbit on any of their sanders. And that makes a big difference, especially for strip sanding, I find. That's not to say that you cannot get fantastic results without a surf prep sander. By all means, go to the hardware store, pick up the sander that you can afford, and get to work. Just like a paint is a paint, at the end of the day, a sander is a sander. What is the best paint and wax, dark, white, and clear to use? Also, what brushes for both? I've already covered paint, but I would say no matter what paint I'm using, I will always tend to lean towards a zebra brush. They are a fantastic company behind some really fantastic products. They have a great lineup of really furniture-specific brushes. You can use them for other painting applications as well. But the shapes of their brushes are really designed to fit the curves and contours and really unique surfaces that you find on furniture. And I find that they work with all of the different types of paint. They are a synthetic brush. They have a very low bristle shed, I find. I think I've probably only lost 10 or 15 bristles in my entire 6 years of using them. They're really affordable and easy to find at Home Depot stores in the US or Lee Valley or on Amazon here in Canada. That would be my recommendation for brushes for paint. Brushes for wax and wax recommendations. I don't do very much waxing. And I don't really have a favorite wax brush because of that. I do have some wax brushes from Madeline Brushes, which I will not recommend. They lose bristles like crazy. I don't like using them, but I got some for free, so that's what I use when I do wax. I also have a wax brush from House and Canvas that I use quite often, but it's small. And I don't know that it would be the best if you're waxing an entire piece of furniture. Usually when I'm waxing, I'm doing smaller details. So it's good for that. I would probably look for something a little bit bigger, like 1.5 inches or 1 inch round, stiff bristled wax brush. But I can't give a specific one because I just don't do a lot of waxed finishes. As far as wax recommendations for dark wax, white wax, or clear wax, I'm going to go back to the old tried and true, a wax is a wax is a wax. At the end of the day, they all kind of do the same thing. So I would probably recommend, if you find a paint brand that you really love, pick up a small sample size of their wax as well and try it out. If you like it and it's giving you good results, go nuts. If you don't, try a small sample size pot of something else. What type of wood filler do you use? All of them. I use all of the wood fillers. They all have very different functions. So a traditional wood filler, like the kind of sawdust and wood glue version, I don't use very often because I find them to be very gritty and they don't sand down particularly well. So I use that the least often, usually only when I'm doing a stained finish. I will use either Elmers or LePage are the two brands that I can pick up at pretty much any hardware store, and they come in a few different wood shades as well if I'm trying to match. I use Drywall Spackle a lot if I'm trying to fill in really fine, shallow texture or wood grain on the surface that I'm painting, because that sands down incredibly smooth and it stays in those really shallow imperfections, whereas the traditional sawdust and wood glue style fillers tend to pull out if you're trying to sand them and they don't have enough of a cavity to stick into. I use Bondo all of the time, or some wood filler the same as Bondo are Minwax's, I think it's called High Performance Wood Filler, and Varathane and Minwax both make Bondo style wood filler that are both great for big fills, big areas of damage, or areas that are going to need a little bit of structural integrity that might get knocked around or have weight on them. What other kinds of wood filler do I use? I use Paintable Caulking, Paintable Latex Caulking, to fill in little seams or gaps on furniture that may need a little bit of flex. I think that's it. I think that covers wood fillers. I use them all. What tools or supplies do you recommend for someone who wants to begin refurbishing? I would say start really small and really simple. Don't worry about collecting or buying all of the stuff. If you're just starting out, you want to find really small, simple projects to get yourself acquainted with the process and just pick things up as you need them. I think most people already have or have access to a basic toolkit with a hammer, a couple of screwdrivers, tape measure, that kind of stuff. But as far as things that you may need to go out and buy, I would definitely grab an electric sander. Doesn't have to be super expensive. You can hit up Walmart or Home Depot and grab either a triangle mouse-shaped detail sander or a 5-inch round orbital sander would be my recommendations to get you started. That will save you hours and hours and hours. You want to make sure that you've got sandpaper in various grits. An 80 is a coarser grit that will remove a lot of material. It's good for stripping. And then you want to have a 120 grit, which is kind of a medium, and then probably a 180 and a 220 to smooth things out. Brushes. I would hit up Amazon and grab some zebra paint brushes. I would have a separate brush for applying top coats if you're going to be going that route. Keep a dedicated brush for top coating. And as you go, I'd say pick up a drill when they're on sale. A drill driver combo set is great. If you have the space or ability to spray, look into some budget-friendly paint sprayers. I have experience with my pneumatic spray gun just because we already had all of the stuff when I was ready to start doing that. But if you're looking for an entry-level model, I would look into the Wagner Flexio lineup. Yeah, you really don't need a whole bunch of tools or a whole bunch of knowledge to get started. Okay, moving into some more kind of technique type questions. The first one, what are some common reasons or issues that you might abandon a project midway? It doesn't really happen very often. I'm actually having a hard time thinking of the last time I abandoned a project. Sometimes I'll put things away if they're not going as I planned. I'll just put them to the side and start working on something else until I can calm down and wrap my brain around the situation. But I honestly can't remember the last time that something got abandoned partway in. What product do you use to clean the piece in the beginning? Any cleaner that you have that has a good degreaser in it will get the job done. I am a big fan of Dixie Belle's White Lightning, Fusion's TSP alternative, TSP or trisodium phosphate. Any eco-friendly version of that will do a great job. I also really love Simple Green. Crud Cutter is another popular one. You just want to make sure that after you've degreased and deeply cleaned your surface, you go back with some clean, clear water and rinse off any of the soap residue. That stuff can really build up in your sander over time, and I've heard recently of Crud Cutter actually breaking down the inner workings of the sander and causing issues. And you can also grind it down into the surface of your project, which can cause problems with paint adhesion or longevity. So yeah, anything with a degreaser in it. How do I remove a paint finish topped with wax? Well, first you need to remove the wax, and you can usually tell if a piece is waxed just by giving it a scratch. You'll get flakes of wax come up. So to get the wax off, you can use rubbing alcohol, denatured alcohol, or mineral spirits. And I usually like to grab a little scouring pad, soak it with whatever medium I'm using, and give it a really good scrub to break up all of that wax. And then I go back with my degreasing cleaner to clean all of that away. Then to get the paint off, you can go forward with whatever stripping method you choose, which can be a chemical stripper. It could be a manual stripper, like a carbide scraper, scraping it off, or it could be a mechanical stripper, sanding it. How long do you let the various types of coats dry? Always, always, always follow the manufacturer's recommendations. Every single paint product is going to be different, and that's also going to depend on the temperature and humidity that you're working in. So read the back of the can, head to the brand's website, or reach out to them directly if you need to know. Usually the dry to the touch time is very different from the safe to recoat time. So just because it feels dry in 30 minutes doesn't mean you're able to recoat at the 30-minute mark. A lot of paints will want to leave 2 to 4 hours, sometimes longer, sometimes much longer. So just follow the recommendations from the manufacturer on that one. What can I use to clean up recently sanded wood? I would use denatured alcohol or mineral spirits on a rag to wipe down any wood that you've just sanded and clean it up. Do you have an easy way to clean out brushes? It takes forever to clean them. Yes, it does. And I'm sorry, I don't have any magic recipe. It just takes a while to clean out a paintbrush. I clean them out in our laundry sink, usually with some Dawn dish soap. And I have like a dish scrubby brush that I use to kind of scrub the paint out of the bristles. And then I hang them up with the bristles hanging down so all of the water can drain. Yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while. I'm sorry. Do you ever find bugs in the furniture you pick, specifically bed bugs? If so, what do you do? I have never found more than spiders or the occasional ant in any of the furniture that I've picked up in 6 years of doing this full time. I do realize though that bed bugs and cockroaches are a real concern. So if I'm picking something up, especially from the side of the road, but also in the thrift stores, or even if I'm picking it up from someone's house on Facebook Marketplace, I do make sure that I open all of the drawers and look in all of the seams for any signs of insect or critter activity, whether that's the actual bugs themselves, the carcasses of the bugs, the droppings of the bugs, sawdust in places where there should not be sawdust. In that case, I would be out. I would leave it where it lays. That would not be a piece that I'd be interested in bringing home. But if you already have brought it home, I would keep it outside of your own home and treat it. I'm pretty sure you can get treatment for bed bugs to use on furniture, or contact a professional pest control agency that could probably direct you better. But like I said, I haven't had that experience yet. I'm sure one day I will. Yeah, that's what I would do. If spray painting hardware, do you seal it for lasting protection? Generally, no. The metallic spray paints, which is what you're usually going to be using on hardware, are a lacquer that has a built-in sealer on it. And a lot of the times if you spray a top coat over that, it kind of dulls the brightness or the shine of the metallic paint itself. And it's just not necessary. Like I said, the spray paint has a lacquered finish in it already, so it shouldn't be necessary. I just don't think it's gonna do anything extraordinary. Mom's old dining table with walnut veneer. Where do I start? Well, good news is you've already started. You've identified that it's walnut and you've identified that it's a veneer. So knowing that it's a veneer, which is a very thin layer of wood over top of some kind of substrate, means that you have to be very careful removing the finish that's on there. So I would probably use a chemical stripper that will break down the existing finish, that you can scrape off without removing any of that wood material, and then give it a very light, slow, cautious sand to smooth it out once you're done stripping off the old finish. And then you just have to decide what you want to refinish it with, whether that's paint or stain or a paint wash. Yeah. Painting furniture with chalk or mineral paint. What can I use to give it a little shine? You can use a poly top coat. Water-based polyurethane or polyacrylic is probably going to be your best bet. That's my preference anyways. And you can choose anywhere from a matte to a satin to a semi-gloss to a gloss sheen in that. I usually prefer to use satin on my pieces, which gives it a little bit of a sheen and some good durability and wipeability without adding too much sheen. Because if you get too glossy or too shiny, you really start to see all those teeny tiny imperfections. It just kind of highlights them and it's usually not the best look. So I prefer a matte or a satin sheen. I have stained the top of a table and then applied polyacrylic on it. It looked cloudy. What can I do? So depending on what kind of stain you used, if you used an oil-based stain and then applied polyacrylic on top, which is a water-based product, that might be why it's looking cloudy, because you're in an oil and water situation where they don't mix. The best thing to do if you're using a traditional oil-based stain is to use an oil-based polyurethane on top of it. If you used a water-based stain and you've put the polyacrylic on top of it and it's looking cloudy, it's probably because you've applied too thick of a layer. Unfortunately, the only way to really remedy that is going to be to sand back your poly and try again. So if it's an oil-based stain, I would remove the poly, which is probably going to mess up your staining job. Restain it, add an oil-based top coat on top. If it's a water-based stain, you're probably going to have to sand back the cloudy top coat, which is going to mess up the stain underneath. Restain it, and try and apply a new coat of the polyacrylic in a thin layer. And it is a little bit tricky. It just is, because you really have to find that balance of enough product that you can brush it out or apply it and it's going to stay wet enough to level itself out before it starts to dry, and then too much where it dries wonky and cloudy. That's, yeah. With all the possible options of paint, stain, natural, etc., how do you ever decide what you're going to do? Most of the time that comes from the surface that I'm working on. If it is a solid natural wood that's in good condition, or that I can get into good condition by removing the old finish and sanding out any flaws, that's a great candidate for a natural or stained finish. If it's a veneer surface that is badly damaged or needs repairs that I'm not going to be able to restain, or it's not wood at all, if it's a laminate surface that I can't stain or leave natural, it's going to get painted. So it really usually is up to the piece to decide. How did you learn to identify the different types of wood? I am still not great at that. I'm not great. I know pine because I see it at the hardware store all the time. I know oak because it's kind of just an obvious grain to me. I learned elm when I had something that looked like oak but not quite oak, so I Googled it and figured out that it was elm. A lot of the times I'm taking cues from the maker's mark, or if there's a made in sticker somewhere on the furniture piece. I did a mango wood table a little while ago that had a made in Thailand sticker on it. So I pulled up Google, what kind of woods are typically used in furniture that's constructed in Thailand. And that gave me a list of some woods that are common there. Acacia and mango is another one used in kind of more budget-friendly furniture construction. And then I pulled up a whole bunch of images of mango wood grain and matched them up. That's really as technical as it gets. I'm not great at knowing. And if all else fails, find someone that is good at it and knows that stuff and make really good friends with them so that they can help you. You can send them a picture and ask them for help. You know how you tint your clear coat when going over darker colors? Have you ever played around with that and put a tinted clear coat over a white or light colored paint? So I often, when I'm spraying or brushing a poly top coat over a darker, richer color, will add a little bit of my paint color into the clear poly. That helps with streakiness when you're applying it over a painted surface. I can't think of a time where I've ever done that over a light color, but I've never needed to. I've never had that kind of streaky or cloudiness over a lighter color, but the same rule would apply. I would think it would work just the same. Have you ever been hurt while refinishing a piece? If yes, what new precautions did you start? I, knock on wood, have never sustained a real injury other than the odd little scrape or cut or splinter. But I do always wear a dust mask when I'm sanding. I wear safety glasses when I'm cutting, sometimes when I'm sanding as well. And I wear a respirator whenever I'm spraying paint or doing anything that's got any kind of vapors or off-gassing. Speaking of that, how often do you change the filters in your mask? Honestly, probably not nearly often enough. I have started, sorry, the dog's just put herself to bed in her crate. I've started actually putting a reminder on my phone. I have it set up in my calendar right now for once a quarter, so 4 times a year, to get new filters and swap them out in my mask. But it really depends on, the manufacturers do the calculation based on hours of usage. So depending on whether you're full-time or part-time, how many hours you're spending wearing it and using it in those situations is going to determine how frequently you should be changing out your filters. So yeah, I should probably be doing it more than I am. Where do you find furniture to redo? I can't find anything, not even on Facebook Marketplace. I find furniture all over the place. I often say furniture finds me. I do a regular loop around our neighborhood, and I have kind of trained myself to always be on the lookout, no matter where I'm driving, to watch the ends of people's driveways. It's very common here for people to put their furniture out to the curb for someone to hopefully come and get to make use of, or ultimately the garbage truck will come and get it eventually. So that's a fantastic resource for me here. I know that's not common practice everywhere though. So I do also find a lot of great furniture at thrift stores. I try and get out once a week to do the circuit of, I think there's 6 of them that are close to me here, just to keep an eye on what's coming in, and if anything catches my eye, I will scoop it up. Facebook Marketplace always, always, always has furniture on it. Depending on where you are, you may have to pay a little bit more, but if you're paying a little bit more for project pieces, you should be able to recoup that little bit of extra cost on the selling end as well. There is a trick though to kind of training your Facebook Marketplace. You want to be on there a few times a day, specifically searching for what you're looking for. So in the search bar, you want to put dressers, nightstands, dining sets, whatever, and make sure that you're constantly refreshing that feed, and it will actually train the Facebook algorithm to seek out and find those things and put them in front of your face. So there is a little bit of method to Facebook Marketplace that way. Another great thing to look at if you're having problems is to Google and see if there are any online auctions near you. That's often a really great resource, and if not a lot of people in your area know about them, you can get some incredible furniture pieces that are in really good condition at a steal of a deal. And yeah, all the other buy and sell apps. In Canada, we have Kijiji. I think Craigslist is still a thing in the States. OfferUp, Let Go, all of those buy and sell kind of things. And worst case scenario, put it on Facebook Marketplace. Go find all of the community buy and sell sites in your area and put out a post saying, hey, I'm looking for used unwanted furniture, and see what people have that they're willing to either give you for free if you come and take it away, or are willing to sell at a reasonable cost. When you spray multiple coats of paint, do you fully flush the sprayer in between coats, and does that depend on the sprayer? So first off, I have two sprayers that I use. I have my gravity-fed pneumatic HVLP sprayer that is powered by compressed air. And I have a Wagner Flexio 3000, which is an electric sprayer that I use also. I have never had any reason to flush a gun between coats, unless you're leaving your coat to dry for a week. If you're a weekend warrior and you get one coat done on Sunday and you're not going to touch it again until the next weekend, then I would clean out your sprayer. But if you're waiting the 2 to 4 to 6 hour recoat time in between coats, or even if you're going to come back the next day and spray another coat, if you're using a water-based paint, I wouldn't worry about flushing out your gun. If you ever have a problem with it drying out or clogging up your sprayer, don't do it again. But I've been spraying for years and years, and I've never had a problem. Usually there's a little, I call it a paint booger, just little film of paint that will dry over the nozzle. I just scrape that off with my fingernail, give a few pulls to the trigger to get things moving again, and I've never had a problem with it. Okay, back to sanders for a second. Can you explain the benefit of when you use an orbital sander versus a mouse sander versus the Holy Grail Surf Prep? I'm gonna say you're talking about the 3x4 little rectangular sander, or any other electric hand size sanders that I have missed. So the benefits of using an orbital sander, the round ones, they are big. It's 5 inches of surface that's making contact with 5 inches of surface. So they are great at quickly removing large areas of material or covering a large area. They also generally move a little bit faster and have a little bit more power behind them. So they're great for strip sanding or removing a lot of surface at once. But they can also do finish sanding, the smoothing sand, or the smoothing sand. Mouse sander, which is the triangular ones, will fit into corners. So furniture often has corners, and the Orbital sander can't quite get into those tight corners, whereas the pointed tip on the mouse sander can get into that a little bit easier. They are also usually a little less aggressive, so they're good for finer details and finish sanding. The Holy Grail Surf Prep sander, the 3x4 rectangular sander, has all the same benefits that I mentioned before about the Surf Prep. It's a little less with the vibrations. It has variable speeds. Mine is the vacuum compatible version, so it has all the dust collection, and it is square. So it fits into those corners, and it also has the 3-inch by 4-inch surface area to cover that amount of space while I'm sanding. Hopefully that hopefully that clears things up. I'm voguing. Okay, some business stuff. Do you take donations of furniture and or refinished furniture for clients? I would take donations of stuff if I had someone that was close to me that wanted to drop something off, 100%. Do I refinish or take custom work for clients? No, it's never been part of my business model. My anxiety would never allow me to have to live up to someone's expectations. I thrive off of the ability to be able to change directions when I need to. If something's not going right, I will flip a switch and go in a completely opposite direction, and no one ever needs to know about it. But if I'm trying to match something to a customer's vision or specifications, I can't handle that. If you're doing this full time, it is a fantastic way to have a large, consistent income in your furniture refinishing business, but it's not something that I've ever done in mine. How do you know or plan your garbage picking? Like I said, I drive around all the time. It's something that's always in the back of my mind, but I also am on our town's website, and they will often put up if we're having a bulky item collection day, they will put up notices weeks in advance and then a few days beforehand saying, hey, it's that time of year again, kick all your stuff to the curb. And then I can plan when I'm gonna do that kind of drive around stuff. Okay, I'm gonna list off a bunch of questions here now that are kind of interrelated, and then I'll give you the scoop. What made you stop selling furniture? Do you still donate your pieces, or do you sell them now? Do you sell most of the items that you redo? You've transitioned from selling the furniture to donating it now. Now that your channel has grown, is it more beneficial to your business than waiting for stuff to sell? So, about 2 years ago, when my YouTube channel started to make a consistent income and my husband was working full-time, his income was supporting our family, and my income from the furniture business was kind of supplemental for savings and fun extra things. And I made a decision then that I wanted to give back and start donating the pieces that I worked on. Anything that I wasn't making over for our own home still at the time, I wanted to donate back to either local charities like Habitat for Humanity or just to people in the community who I knew needed something. So I did that for a very long time. Since then, we have moved across the country. My husband is no longer working in his full-time career. He is now working for me and my business. And we're okay financially, but we're not in the same spot that we were. This business is supporting our family. just. There's enough, but there's not lots of extras. So within the last probably 3 months, I have made the decision to go back to some selling. I'm still donating as many pieces as I can, but we are also listing some of the furniture that I'm making over for sale in our community. So that's just the reality of it. I think everyone is right now feeling the effects of the global economic crisis. In Canada here, the last time I was in the grocery store, a pound of butter was $9. So it just makes financial sense at the moment for us to be able to have a few hundred extra dollars every week from selling the furniture flip. But I do, try not to tear up, I do still want to continue to give back to my community however I can, as much as I can. So that is still a very important focus of my business model. But yeah, we're kind of somewhere in between right now. That's why I stopped selling them, because I could afford to do it at the time, and also because the sales side of furniture flipping is a full-time job on its own. So between the furniture makeovers, editing all of the videos, negotiating with brands, engaging with everybody, answering questions, commenting on things, keeping up with a posting schedule, all of the things of running the social media side of the business, I didn't have time to deal with the selling side of things. So yeah, those are the reasons why I stopped selling, and why we are starting to get back into the selling game now. Do you think the market is flooded with no room for newcomers in the US? I can't specifically speak to the US because I'm a Canadian in Canada, but most of my followers are in the States, and a lot of my community of furniture flippers is also in the US. And I'm gonna say no, it is not flooded. There is plenty of room for newcomers. I think there will always be room for newcomers. There are a ton of people doing this, and there are a ton of people who start and just decide it's not for them and stop. It is a business, and being in business for yourself is not an easy thing. You're not just raking in cash. You can't just paint something and put it on Facebook Marketplace and expect for it to sell for thousands of dollars, and just have easy money. It's hard work to find furniture, to fix it, to make it beautiful, to market it, to sell it, to deliver it. All of those things are work. So I think what people see is that it's not easy, and a lot of people drop out because they're not seeing immediately crazy cash flow in it. But it is a very sustainable business, and I think it's going to be a huge economy for forever. I think what we saw during the pandemic with this huge shift of people leaving their corporate jobs and wanting to work for themselves, work from home, and do things that they're passionate about to sustain their lifestyles isn't going to stop. And the environmental impact that repurposing furniture has, instead of feeding into the fast furniture of the traditional economy, I think that's only going to grow and grow and grow and become more of the norm as the years go on. So is it flooded? Definitely not. If you want to start, if you love it and you have a passion for it and you're willing to work hard for it, go for it. Do it. I love what I do. I cannot imagine what my life would be if I hadn't have fallen into furniture flipping. So yeah, that's my answer on that one. And that ties into the next question. I love that you created a home business. Curious if you plan on opening a storefront or keeping it at home, and why? I do not currently have any plans of opening a storefront. I currently doing what I'm doing, running this social media business, takes so much of my time. I would say I probably work 80 or 90 hours a week. And it's not all in the garage flipping furniture. A lot of it is behind the scenes on the computer, editing, negotiating, researching, writing. It takes so much time and effort for me to do all of those things, and I do them all myself. I'm not at the point yet where financially I can really afford to be outsourcing those things, although that is an option. It's not an option for me right now in my current circumstance. So maybe when I get a little bit older, I might open up a storefront and sell things, or open up a storefront and have kind of I would love to have a sort of artisans market where other people can bring the pieces that they've created, and I would just run the shop, little shopkeeper moment. But no, it's not something that's in the plan currently. I am more than overwhelmed with the way things currently are. Do you have any advice for anyone who lives in a sparsely populated area? I'm assuming you mean selling wise. And my experience with that, when we were living in the Greater Toronto area, which is the most densely populated area in all of Canada, I never had a problem selling. I never had a problem getting my full asking price, although I've always kept my asking prices kind of at the low end of things for what else was going on with other refinishers in my market. Not undercutting anyone, but at the lower end, just because that's what worked for me. And now we're out here in New Brunswick, which is pretty sparsely populated. And I've noticed that things are definitely different. Things aren't moving as quickly. People aren't willing to drive to me to pick things up. And that has impacted sales a little bit. I don't have a full scope of that because, like I said, I've only just started reselling in this new market. I would say for a more sparsely populated area, you're probably going to need to seriously look into shipping. Figure out how to ship. I don't have any experience with that, so unfortunately I can't advise, but I know there are lots of online courses and lots of people in our community who do that, that are very knowledgeable on the subject and can lead you in that direction. But yeah, I would look into shipping and making sure that you're marketing on Etsy or some kind of broader scope than Facebook Marketplace, so that you're getting the most amount of eyes on your products, and you also have a way of getting your products to your customers. Can I email you pictures of my furniture to get help on what to do with it? Listen, as much as I would love to talk shop with everybody all day, like I said, I am so overwhelmed with my current setup of recording videos and sharing everything I know through this virtual format. I just don't have the capacity at this time to take on that project. It takes a lot of time to respond to an email like that and give advice and pull inspiration pictures and have the back and forth of what do I do, how do I do that, what products do I use, what colors do I use. It may be something that happens in the business as it evolves down the line, but as of this point, it's not something that I can offer. And that kind of leads into, have you ever considered offering an online workshop or instructional class? The way I look at it is I offer an online workshop and instructional class every single week on YouTube and every single day on Facebook and 2 or 3 times a week on Instagram. And like I said, right now, at this point in my business and my life, that is all I have to give. I share as much information as I possibly can in each and every project, and that's just all I'm capable of doing at this point. Not to say it won't happen down the line, but right now it's not something that's in the cards. All right, on to some quick social media questions. How much can you actually earn on social media, and how do you get brand deals? You can earn so much money on social media. I'm not there yet. I've had a very successful last 2 years. My YouTube channel has grown significantly, which has been such a blessing. I've also been able to monetize my Facebook page, which has helped a lot. And I work with brands every now and then. So the answer to your question is the earning potential of social media is unlimited. It, again, like any business, depends on how much time, effort, and stamina you have to put towards that. It's not an overnight thing. You're not automatically going to post a few videos on YouTube and be earning money and have brand deals and ad revenue coming in. But we're doing all right. We're making enough money to sustain my family comfortably through my YouTube ad revenue. So every time someone watches a YouTube video, I get paid a little bit. I think right now my channel is averaging, for every 1,000 views, I make about $15 or $16 Canadian. And I also have my YouTube Shorts monetized. So that's another couple of $100 every month. My Facebook page is also monetized, which works pretty similarly to YouTube. I get paid per view, a cent or two on every view on my Facebook video, which is my YouTube content repurposed for Facebook. I also have a few other revenue streams from affiliate marketing. So I work with Fusion Mineral Paint, and I have an affiliate link. So whenever someone purchases Fusion products through my affiliate link, I get a small commission from that. I have a affiliate partnership with Zebra Painting because I love them so much. I have an affiliate deal with Surf Prep Sanding. So every time someone makes a purchase through my link on Surf Prep's website, I get a little bit of revenue from that. And then brand deals. Most of the brand deals that I've done, I've had agencies reach out to me saying, hey, we have this company that's looking for YouTube partnerships, and that's how that works. But there are also a lot of platforms online where creators can now go and apply to brand campaigns. So that's how brand deals work. There's a lot of emails back and forth negotiating on that, but the earning potential is there. It's just not instantaneous, and it's not easy. It's not free money. Helpful tips for making YouTube videos. My most helpful tip for making YouTube videos is just do it. You don't need a professional camera. I film everything. I'm filming right now on my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and have for years. I have a small microphone. I have another microphone that I clip on for voiceovers. Just start. Your videos don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be the most professional. You need to be yourself. You need to be engaging, and you need to be constantly learning. So you need to be on YouTube, listening to all of the YouTube experts with all of their tips and tricks on how to be more engaging, how to get more views, how to get your viewers to watch longer, how to get your thumbnails clicked on, and you just need to keep posting. You just need to keep posting. What is the average amount of time you spend creating each video? So creating each video starts a few weeks ahead. Usually I'll find a piece of furniture, I'll get an idea for it, and then I will write out a loose script of how I want things to go. That often changes, by the way. Then when I'm ready to start working on the furniture piece, that's usually 2 or 3 days of actually doing the furniture flip and recording things. And then I will spend a day scripting out the voiceovers loosely so that I know what points I want to hit, and I'm making sure I've got all the information that I want to convey in the video. And then I will spend probably between 8 and 12 hours actually editing all of the clips. So 3 8 to 10 hour days of furniture flipping all gets condensed down into a 10 or 15 minute video with voiceovers and music and graphics. That's usually 8 to 12 hours. Then once I've got my YouTube video done and set, I have to take all of that footage and condense it into a Facebook friendly format, which is usually a 3 or 4 minute video with another condensed voiceover. And then I need to take that same footage and make a couple of shorts, a couple of reels, a couple of TikToks, still photos, thumbnails for everything, descriptions for everything, hashtags and keywords for everything, all of that stuff. So it's the average amount of time I spend creating each video, at least 40 hours a week, probably closer to 50. Yeah, it's not free money. How did you learn to film and edit your videos? Is there special equipment you use or programs that you would recommend? Again, I am a graduate of YouTube University. I have learned everything that I know about content creation and editing from YouTube. And I'm constantly watching new videos as they come out to pick up tips and tricks and figure out how I can morph those into working with my specific circumstance. Like I said, I film everything on my iPhone and have through the duration of my whole YouTube career. So as the iPhones have gotten better and I figured out how to use them better, my quality has gotten better, I think, I hope. As far as equipment, I have a couple of tripods from Amazon to hold the camera. I have a couple of external microphones. I have a Rode video mic that I use for voiceovers, and then I have the lav mic here. This is a Comica Boom something, but there's tons of them available on Amazon for really reasonable prices, just to improve the sound quality. And then programs that I use, I would say you want to make sure that you are using copyright-free music and sounds. I have a monthly subscription to Epidemic Sound, which provides all of the sound effects and fantastic music you could ever want. Or YouTube does have an audio library with lots of copyright-free music in there as well. I just don't love it as much. And then editing-wise, please don't laugh, I still edit everything on my iPad in an app called InShot. I think a lot of people use it for short form editing for TikToks and Reels. I definitely use it to do all of my editing for all of my YouTube videos because it's really easy and kind of idiot proof to use. And I'm too stubborn to learn to do any of that on my laptop with any of the higher grade editing software. And it works. It gets the job done. So that's what I do that way. Okay, we're at the end. My last group of questions are all kind of personal questions. Do you have a favorite piece you've done in the past, or is there a favorite style that you enjoy best? No, I don't have a favorite piece. I swear every piece that I am currently working on is my favorite piece. And when I start on the next one, that becomes my favorite piece. The ones that I've kept the longest are my two first flips, the china cabinet and the buffet turned entertainment center. I will keep those forever, I think, because I love them, but they're not necessarily my favorite. Favorite style, I don't know that I really have one style. I kind of float around based on what I find, what has inspired me that week when I start a project. So I do everything from mid-century, farmhouse, traditional, modern, all of it, all of it. Where did you get those glasses? I love the clear frames. I buy direct.ca. That's where those are from. Did you leave family behind in Ontario when you moved to New Brunswick? And do you enjoy your new home more or miss Ontario? So last year we moved from Ontario all the way out to the east coast of Canada to New Brunswick. We left everybody behind. Our entire family was within a half an hour drive of us where we were in Ontario. So we had all of our parents, the kids' grandparents, siblings, everybody was really close. And we moved out here and we have no one. So we are definitely definitely missing that. But we love where we are in New Brunswick. It is beautiful and quiet, and the people here are just incredible. It's so friendly and so calm, and just everything is just slower. It's such a slower, more relaxed pace of life. And our move from the most densely populated part of Canada out here has allowed my husband to leave his full-time job and start working for me for the business. It's also lowered our living expenses to the point where we can afford to do that. So yeah, we love it where we are in New Brunswick. If I could bring all of my family out here, I would do that in a heartbeat. Or if we had the financial means to responsibly go back to Ontario, if we could afford to go back to Ontario, I would, to be with our family. And then I think what I'm gonna leave it off at is, are you still feeling burnt out? I am. I am very burnt out. This is a very demanding situation that I've put myself in, and I fully realize I am 100% responsible for that. And it does create a lot of personal burnout and creative burnout. Last summer, I ended up taking 3 months off out of nowhere because my mom got sick and I needed to go back. After we just moved here, I needed to go home and be with my parents. And ended up taking off the rest of the summer just to kind of relax and recenter myself. So now that everything's calmed down, Mom is great and getting a little bit stronger every day. I'm back to the burnout, and I think I'm probably going to take the month of August off this year, just because it benefited me so greatly to just put everything down, spend time enjoying my kids, enjoying the summer, and just having that mental reset to allow myself to come back in the fall fresh and ready to go and excited to do what I do and share it with you. So that's the burnout situation. Whew, that was a lot. This is going to be a really long video. I hope that you found what you came here for today. If you didn't, leave me a message in the comments and I will try my best to get you the answer that you're looking for. I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you who has watched this video, who continues to come back to the channel, whether it's for one video or for every video. You are the ones who allow me to be able to run this business and do what I do for a living, and I appreciate each and every one of you so, so very much. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you all next time.